Here are 7 critical areas that you need to keep private if you want to save your peace. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the timestamps in the description below. And if you are somebody who's ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming. I provide in-depth worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, I provide introspective journaling prompts as well as practical exercises so you can start removing your limiting beliefs and start writing out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. The link to access these worksheets are down in the description below. Now let's dive into the video. The very first thing that you need to keep private is your financial situation. The real risk around sharing your finances with people, especially people you don't really know or don't really trust, is that they will change the way that they see you. And the ugly truth behind that is that people stop seeing you for who you are authentically, but they'll start seeing your financial situation as an embodiment of you. Everyone has a very different relationship with money. Some people resent people who have money, or some people may idolize people who have money. For example, you had a really good year in your business and you've probably worked so hard throughout the process to get to this point. But if your friend has this deep-rooted belief that rich people are evil, then when they see you with that amount of money, they're going to make backhanded comments about why you don't deserve that money or why you're a bad person for having money. But that has nothing to do with you. And even if you're doing really good things with that money, they won't be able to see it. It can often invite people who are jealous of you or feel like you don't deserve it. It's all linked to their underlying limiting beliefs around what they feel they deserve. Even if you are struggling financially, even if you are just starting out your business, you are not obligated to share your financial situation with anybody. Whether you are rich or not, you do not have to share a single piece of information that does not apply to the other person. Let assumptions work in your favor. If people think that you're broke, just let them think that. Your bank account has nothing to do with the future. And even if you are broke now, it doesn't mean it's permanent. Anything can change over time. The more that you need validation from others to know that you are doing well financially, you are going to be buying things that you don't need. You are going to be oversharing your finances even when nobody asked. And sometimes that can come off as very arrogant if people aren't necessarily interested in that kind of information. The second thing that you need to keep private is your goals and dreams. If you are telling people about your goals and dreams specifically to get some sort of validation or response from them, you may not necessarily always get the response that you want. Of course, you want people who support your dreams. Of course, you want people to say, that's a really good idea. But you will also receive people with responses and saying that they just don't believe it's going to happen. They don't believe it's going to work out. And again, these are all based on their own values, their own life perceptions, and it is not the truth. Sharing your goals too early, it can invite people who give you unsolicited advice that you never even asked for, and they haven't even done the thing. I think people are really good at giving advice and giving them your 2 cents, but you are the one executing here. You are the one who's actually actioning on the very dream. But when you tell too many people, and obviously people are going to give you some sort of response, you're going to get very mixed signals around which direction to go to, when you should execute, how you should execute, because everyone around you is giving you different pieces of information. Your dreams are so vulnerable in the beginning, and the more unsolicited advice that you receive, especially from people that are very close-minded, it affects your ability to believe in yourself to do that very thing. And it may even lead to more self-doubt than you initially had. It doesn't mean that it's not right for you, but it could invite more doubts and fears that you never knew even existed. The more people that you tell, the harder it is going to be to change your mind in the long run. What I mean by this is when you have told so many people about your goals and dreams, and then suddenly you're like, I actually want to change route. I want to change into an entirely different path. When you do that, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but I thought you're doing this thing. And now you feel obligated to stay in a path that doesn't align with you simply because you've told too many people. I'm not saying to never share your manifestations or goals with anybody, but I'm telling you to be very selective with who you share this information with. Do they have a growth mindset? Are they also people who have big goals and dreams for themselves? And when you have manifested it, then you can start sharing. You're like, oh my gosh, guys, you will not believe what happened. Then you can start sharing with the world what you have created. The thing you need to know if you want to manifest your dreams is to share it only when it's locked in, when it's truly manifested in front of you in 3D form. Do not openly share all your big goals and dreams and visions to people who may not necessarily be in your best interest or may not necessarily support you simply because they have unhealed trauma about your vision. The third thing that you need to keep private is your relationship problems. Talking to a trained therapist about your relationship problems is fine. Talking to your closest friends about this is fine, but keep that group as small as possible and make sure you trust them. Venting to everyone about your relationship problems isn't going to solve the problem, but what is going to solve the problem is between you and the person. Maybe your partner did something wrong and you're able to work it out with them and you're able to heal and move past it. But it might be easy for you to forgive them, but people who care about you, your friends, your family, they may not necessarily be as forgiving. If you have previously vented to your friends and family about how horrible this person was, especially when you were in a place of anger and you just needed to vent out everything unfiltered, what happens is that your friends, your family, they hold on to that version of your partner, and your friends and family will see him differently and they may actually hold on to this perception of him. Find ways where you can solve conflict with your partner in a very productive way. This could be reading books about relationships and communication. This could be journaling and reflecting on your thoughts and feelings on a piece of paper. You are not entitled to share information about your relationship or even your breakup with anybody. This is simply your choice. Share what feels comfortable to you, and if you don't want to share it, just keep it brief. If you do need to share your relationship problems, be very mindful with who you share it with the right therapist, with the right coach, or even with the right bestie, because a lot of us, we all have limiting beliefs about ourselves, about relationships, about the world. Be very mindful with who you are asking advice to, and typically you want to get advice from people that genuinely want the best for you, but are also living aligned lives that you want to be living. For example, if you aspire to have a healthy relationship with your partner, if you are trying to look for advice, find someone who is already living that reality. Find somebody who already has a very healthy relationship, who's really good at communication and conflict resolution, and ask them for their 2 cents. So TLDR, you just want to be very careful with who you share this information with, especially because you don't want that information to go back to your partner from somebody else, because we all know how the game of telephone goes. Facts get twisted, and some people may even get hurt in the process. The more that you speak badly about your partner behind his back, the more separated you are going to feel from that person. The next thing that you need to keep private is your acts of kindness. When you are helping someone, whether you are donating your time, donating your money to a charity that you care about, or if you just did a good deed for someone, when you start spreading the word and telling everybody what you did to help that other person, it just comes off as arrogant. You don't need to broadcast your generosity to show people that you're a good person. Simply by being quiet about it already reflects your intention, which is to be a good person, because if you are a good person, you genuinely know deep in your heart and you don't need to announce and tell anybody about it. When you share that you've done a good deed, it can actually work against you and it can seem performative. It stops being an act in itself, and instead, people start seeing that you are just doing it for selfish reasons, even if you didn't. So when you start announcing all the things that you've done, people think you're trying to seek out validation. If you are making the world a better place, if you are doing things proactively to help someone, the more that you do it, the more life and the more karma will reward you for the service that you've brought to the world. You don't need to do these things to elicit a response or to get someone to change their mind about you, but do it from a genuine, kind place in your heart. And kind-hearted and loving people are always rewarded by the universe. The fifth thing that you need to keep private is your free time and availability. When someone asks me when I'm free, I typically give them a time slot. I never give them a whole weekend so that they can choose. What happens is that people don't prioritize your time because they know that you have the full day free. Your time, even your alone time, is sacred to you because your time is valuable. When you are completely wide open for everyone, it kind of shows that you don't have any boundaries around your time, and people may actually take advantage of this. I want you to think about this in the perspective of business. If you were to call a doctor and ask for an appointment this week, if your doctor said, I have all of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday free, what would be the first thought that comes through your head? You're probably going to think, do you not have any clients? Do you not have anyone coming in and visiting you? Is no one trusting you with their life? It does signal that you don't have any commitments, plans, and you don't really have a life going on. So what it does is that it unintentionally lowers your perceived value. And people actually respect your time more and more when you protect it. Even alone time by yourself is still scheduled time. Resting, recharging, journaling, the more that you prioritize and allocate time for that, that is still an activity. You are still busy during that time because that's time for yourself. But if you leave an entire week open for someone to choose, they're probably going to not prioritize your time as much. Saying, I don't have anything planned really communicates that you are okay with last minute obligations. The sixth thing that you need to keep private is your unsolicited advice. People who typically come to you ranting about drama in their life or even talking about their life story and their traumas, they're usually looking for emotional support. They don't actually want advice. If someone is coming up to you and ranting to you, wait for the invitation. Wait for that person to say, oh, I would actually love your 2 cents on this. What should I do? If you're not sure, you can say, do you just want emotional support or do you want advice? Simply by addressing this question to know their intention can help you clear up what exactly it is that they want from you. Even if it is coming from a loving place, when you offer advice that they didn't ask for, it can come off as very judgmental. Or even worse, it feels like you don't trust them enough to be able to get out of the situation. It can sound condescending or self-important, even if that is not your true intention, because of course, your intention is to want to help them. And if someone is truly asking for your advice, I wouldn't go ham and just word vomit everything that I'm thinking through my head, but I truly believe that the most productive way to help people through their problems is to ask questions. And we all come from very different perspectives, experiences, values, beliefs, and if we try to force our views on somebody, typically it doesn't match, it doesn't align because they did not live the same experiences as us. Therefore, their problems can only be dealt with their own system. So what I would recommend that you do is to ask questions that reflect their values or reflect their limiting beliefs. You want them to talk more about their lens and how they see the situation rather than forcing your opinions and forcing your views on them. Giving advice to somebody that didn't ask for it may backfire on you. If someone is coming to you with a problem, it is not your job to try to fix them, but instead just find some way in how you can support them emotionally. If you truly want to support and help someone through their drama or help support someone, you want to understand how they want to approach the situation and what kind of support they need. And the very last thing that you need to keep private is your resentment or gossip. Sure, gossiping can be a lot of fun in the moment, but every negative comment that you make about another person is actually a reflection of yourself. The more that you say negative things about this person or the situation, the more your brain, your subconscious mind is going to wire in that belief as truth. That means the more that you talk about it, the harder it is for you to heal away from this problem. You also lock yourself in a version of a story. If something bad has happened to you in the past, maybe you were cheated on, if you keep repeating the story to every single person you meet, the more that you hardwire this situation to happen again, the more you are exposed to this situation and you're going to be more vulnerable next time. You also keep reinforcing this identity that you're the one who was hurt, which means that you will feel more and more powerless over your own situation. You also never know who's listening. If you're talking smack and the person's best friend that you're talking about is sitting literally behind you, then they're gonna know and they're gonna tell that person and that person's gonna know, and you're gonna have bad blood between you and that person. So be very mindful with who you share this information and where you're sharing this information. Talking about people who've hurt you, people who have wronged you, may feel very soothing in the moment, and it can be a very temporarily soothing experience, but it may come back and bite you in the butt, because if people are spreading what you've shared to other people and they're telling their friends and their friends are telling their friends, what you say will almost always find its way back to the person, and rarely with full context. Some people who want to hear your story and want to hear your drama may not necessarily always be acting in your best interest, but they simply want intel. They want to know what the juicy gossip is so they can feel entertained because they have nothing else going on in their life. So they'll share it with other people and the word spreads that way. Sometimes letting go is just the best approach. It doesn't mean that they were right, but simply because you prioritize your peace over pettiness, that's why you've decided to let go. The best revenge is often silence and success. If you are not emotionally charged visibly about the situation and you keep your cool, you don't talk smack about them, you don't talk about the situation at all, versus the other person who is constantly talking smack about you, who is telling everybody they know about you, when people observe the two of you, who are they going to think is crazier? The girl who is keeping her calm and cool and living her own life, or are they going to believe this crazy girl that's talking about the situation to everybody she knows? Typically, people tend to gravitate towards people who are calm, cool, and collected. How you can instead process resentment is to seek out therapy, to journal, to find some way to vent in a way that is healthy, that isn't hurting others. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with the person that hurt us, but it's about the triggers that came up for us in that experience. So using this opportunity to start questioning, why does this trigger me so much? Why does this hurt so much for me? And using this opportunity to reflect and release can be very empowering. Now we have reached the end of this video. I would love to know in the comments down below, what is one thing that you choose to keep private? And if you want to start applying everything I've shared in this video, then be sure to check out my worksheets in the description below. If you are currently on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love, then please check out the channel, because I make a lot of content about manifestation, money, relationships, literally everything under the umbrella of becoming a high-value woman. If you love this video, I highly recommend checking out my last video, 8 life skills to elevate your value. In that video, I talk a lot about how you can increase your perceived value by mastering these 8 skills that will stick with you for life. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way to the end, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!